This podcast is part of the Game and Entertainment Network. Visit tgenetwork.net to find the latest episodes from all our shows.
It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Agronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 208. Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hello.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hi there.
So, E3 happened, and my god, is there a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, boy, did it happen.
It happened all over the place.
Thanks, Walmart.
Yeah. Okay, so, I guess that whole sequence of events just cracked me up, and that was probably the most self-aware Bethesda show I've ever seen. I mean, there were weird moments, like the Andrew WK concert happening impromptu, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it was a good one, because, my god, there was a lot of things that they covered, and
yeah,
I am super excited about the possibility of Starfield.
I don't know anything about that game at all. Same for ES6.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I know one thing about it. That's what they've been working on instead of ES6.
Yeah. I mean, okay, like, you have me at a Bethesda game set in space. The Fallout ESO treatment in space. Like, that's all I want.
I just want to point out that it came out after the show that one of those games is in a currently internally playable state, and one is in quote-unquote pre-production phase, which means they have a .doc file.
I mean, they clearly also have a trailer.
It's fair. That's fair.
I mean, and I don't know if, like, they're trying to tell us where it's set, or if they're just creating a generic Tamriel flyover.
They're just trying to let you know that ESO does not mean Elder Scrolls series is over.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I feel like that was an important thing to do, just to shut people up. Like,
yeah.
Man, having Todd Howard literally say multiple times that it wasn't the case didn't shut people up. So.
No.
Well, all these people who somehow think that Bethesda doesn't like money.
They think a single data point is a trend.
I feel like maybe they announced it because the same thing was starting to happen over Fallout 76. Because, like, I saw so many threads of, well, it's just going to be like ESO and they'll never make a single-player game again. And no, they like money.
So, I'm curious, what do we know about Fallout 76?
It's online.
Quite a bit.
There's
it's
a
in West
lot
Virginia.
that's come out. Yeah, there's a ton that's come out. It's going to be...
You're playing as the very first people to emerge from vaults and try to tame the wilds.
Yeah, so there's no other human being out in the wasteland. However, like, that concerned me at first, but it's come out since then that they were very specific in saying human beings, because apparently there's, like, a group of ghouls that are called the Scorched, that are kind of like the early, just barely removed from feral state ghouls. And apparently there's, like, all kinds of pre-war robots and stuff floating around.
Maybe we'll get to meet Harold, like, back when he was still young.
That would be awesome. There's lots of things that concerned me at first, but the longer since the announcement and the more information I'm hearing, the more excited I am about it. Mostly because they did say there would be the ability to have private servers.
Okay, that's
Although it sounds
relevant.
like not at launch.
Maybe not at launch, but by God, I will pony up for a private server.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be picking it up until those are available, so... Because I have no interest in being nuked by internet randos. But once there's private servers, yeah, absolutely, sure. I will happily play Fallout 76 with my actual friends.
Yeah, like, it sounds like a really cool concept, and I've thought it would be neat to roam around the wasteland with friends.
If they can figure out a way to get a way for social behavior enforcement, like doesn't even have somehow they can make it so that it is so important for you to work with other people. I don't know, because
at this point I've come to the conclusion that that's just not possible, because there will always be a subset of people for whom it's just a game and what I do doesn't matter.
Yes, but I will also point out in like old MMOs, those people stopped playing the game when they got ostracized in their communities. Or
they took over the game because they had enough other people that they could team up with to ruin everybody else's day.
One of those two like either some sort of like social enforcement mechanism came up, or the game became a toxic hellhole. But like, that tells me that it's not impossible. I just don't know if it's possible anymore, given the scale.
I feel like the perfect situation is like you get grouped with people on your friends list, and you may not have all of them in the world at the same time with you, but it's basically building a server instance based on your social list, to where like you may be seeing different people, but you're tending to only see people that you're friends with. I don't know if that's how it'll work, but that's how I would make it work.
I don't know. I want this game to be good, and I am withholding judgment, because the devil is really in the details.
Yeah. I feel like another devil is in the details game is going to be Anthem, because at face value it looks really interesting.
Oh boy.
But man, there are so many ways that they could either go wrong or just simply not live up to expectations.
You can't have expectations. That's not actually possible.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also funny because they've started by defying their own the expectations people have for them as a studio.
Yes.
With the whole no romances thing?
Yeah.
I feel like Bethesda needs to like take that over. You gotta have somebody that has romances. Look, it is a significant part of my timeline that is devoted to playing these games for romances. Like, it is a not insignificant amount of...
I guess we're going to the next Obsidian game then. It was the thing they decided to add for Pillars 2.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there might be other games with romances in them. Isn't the new Assassin's Creed gonna have romances?
Yes, weirdly enough.
Like, so what I'm fascinated by, there's a bunch of like game series / studios reinventing themselves in evidence here. Like, it's really
Assassin's Creed is going to be an action RPG from here on out.
Yeah, like, it's really interesting to me that Assassin's Creed has gone through like a variety of iterations, and they keep on, broadly, it's the game you go to fight people throughout history, but like the way they're approaching it is repeatedly very different, and I think that's really interesting.
I gotta say, Origins is really freaking good.
I hear Origins is great. I hear it's a giant departure from the previous games in the series, but also I feel like that's okay. Like, the other games in the series were getting stale. They needed to do something new, and they did something crazy and new, and some people didn't like it, and a whole bunch of other people thought it was amazing. I think that's really neat. And I wish I were optimistic about Anthem. I would like to be, but I'm not.
I am less optimistic about Anthem post Andromeda than I would have been otherwise.
I don't...
And this is coming from somebody that really enjoyed Andromeda, but it's also a game that the studio doesn't support at all at this point.
Yeah, I feel like Andromeda, I get what they wanted to do with Andromeda, and I feel like Andromeda would have been better if it hadn't been positioned as a sequel to Mass Effect. Like, it makes me think of the reception to Dragon Age 2, which was supposed to be an offshoot game and then became a mainline Dragon Age game. And I feel like Andromeda is sort of in a similar boat, where like this was supposed to be an offshoot, and as an offshoot it works really well because it's not really doing the same things as the original Mass Effect, but being billed as a sequel, it's just like what it's doing is good and it's cool. It's just not what you're coming to the Mass Effect series for.
Well, and the reality is, like, all these people that complained about it didn't stick around long enough to see the interesting tiebacks to the original universe. They're absolutely there. They're just not obvious. Like, they're in side quests. Like
that's a problem. That's a major.
That's a problem. Yeah. I mean, well, so what I love about Mass Effect is exploring a civilized galaxy and getting embroiled in galactic politics. That's not in evidence in Andromeda.
No, it's a vastly different kind of game.
And that's the thing, is that what I liked about Mass Effect was all of the like interrelationships between all of the different all the different species, and the kinds of getting to explore these different species' societies and how they interact with one another and some of their dark histories and interfacing with all of that. And like, I think that what Andromeda is doing is cool, but it's not that. And so it isn't what I want out of Mass Effect. It wasn't like what I wanted out of Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And my hope is that Anthem is different enough from the word go that it doesn't have that same like expectation tied to it. And I feel like they've done a pretty good job of like managing that expectation, but it's left me without actually knowing what to expect from Anthem, other than like it's a Destiny-ish game maybe.
See, when I was reading about it or taking what I could from it, I feel like it is them trying to take the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer and turn it into like a full-fledged game, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I mean, watching gameplay from this year's E3 made me more interested in Anthem than I was before E3, so there's that.
I feel like probably the most interesting thing for me is the fact that your character is the human being and the mech that you pilot is just a suit. So you can basically flip back and forth between all the different styles of mechs.
Yeah, like I get to fly around and it's got like actual flight combat, it looks like, with like jump jets and stuff. Like I can fly around in power armor like that in an action RPG. Like that seems cool.
Yeah, so like I am interested how they tell a story through this.
I'm basically expecting Destiny.
Yes, which, Bell, I agree with you on many things, but Destiny's story is terrible, and so that doesn't make me optimistic.
Look, I love Destiny, but I will admit that like it has a very obtuse story.
Well, it's not designed to tell a story, I feel like.
It absolutely tells a story. It's just, it doesn't tell it clearly.
Well, then it's not designed to convey a story well.
Yeah.
There's a story there, but it's not told well. And that's the thing, is I'm interested to see if BioWare, if what Anthem is Destiny where we trade off super tight mechanics for better storytelling, because like frankly BioWare has a history of telling stories a lot more than Bungie does.
Yeah, but the problem with that though is they are down so many people from that original group that told amazing stories.
Yeah.
Like they've moved on to do other things. So
they did bring back some writers for Anthem.
They brought back the Mass Effect 3 lead, didn't they?
Yeah.
Ending aside, storytelling in that game is pretty great.
It's true. I mean, and just it's also like not so much the individual people, but like the culture and processes of the studio are also contribute to them being better at storytelling, because it's very forefront, or has been. And I don't know if that is for Anthem. I have no idea. But if it's like Destiny with slightly less good shooting mechanics, but a more interesting story, like I'm on board. Especially if they decide that they're like, okay, we can't compete with Destiny on super tight first person shooter mechanics. Like we're just not going to try. What we're going to do instead is have a game that's all about interesting movement.
Yeah, and the thing is like I'm not sure if I'm on board with that, because Warframe is also a game with not that great of shooter mechanics but really interesting movement, and that is definitely not for me.
Yeah. It looks like it's different from Warframe, but it might be like spiritually similar.
It looks similar. Again, it looks very similar to Mass Effect 3. multiplayer, which I feel is also like it's the third-person MOBA style, like where you have 4 abilities that you've got, and then a basic attack. And there's a lot of it. Like I feel like your non-gunplay in Destiny, like the difference in kind there is not really that big, especially not compared to like Mass Effect 3 or Warframe. Whereas this might be really amping up the differences between the various suit specs, which it leads to a different type of play.
Right. I mean, that makes sense to me. Like, that's what it seems like is going to be vastly different between the 4 different suits.
Are there only 4 suits?
Only 4 suits.
But don't the suits have progression, though? Like, different
yeah, there's like talents and things like that inside of each suit. But there are 4 basic, like there's the Colossus, I forget what the baseline's called, the Infiltrator. Yeah, I know. There's 4 suits. Because there's like 4 symbols, one for each of the suits. And as much as I think I would be into the Colossus, I'm probably going to be most into the baseline that doesn't have any, clear weaknesses or strengths.
Can I fly? I'm gonna fly.
Yeah, all of them can fly.
I'm gonna fly the best.
Even the big one. Even the big one.
Is there a minigun?
Put all the bullets downrange. But yeah, I mean, I was deeply skeptical of Anthem when I first saw it. I'm still pretty skeptical, just because I'm not convinced BioWare is in like a great place right now. But I'm more interested in Anthem coming out of E3 than I was going into it. That's for sure. So I guess mission accomplished there.
I mean, it didn't hurt the fact that like that was the only thing of interest in the EA panel. So I think I latched onto it harder than anything else because there was nothing of substance that I cared about in that panel at all.
I didn't even watch the EA panel.
It's lots of sports and a little Battlefield 5 and a weird game where humans are becoming monsters.
I mean, that sounds somewhat interesting.
Yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. Sea of Solitude. It's like the world has flooded, and when human beings are alone too long, they eventually turn into a monster. And like your character is a little girl who is becoming a monster, and in theory, you're trying to figure out why and how to stop it.
Oh yeah, the really cool art style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That manages to be bright and super dark at the same time.
yeah. It's
EA, so we published an indie game this year.
Yeah.
This is the one, the single indie game that they have on their radar this year.
I mean, last year was FE, so
that game was really.
I'm willing to wait for this.
Yeah, I mean that game was really good, and
I think it's going to be interesting. Like this year's E3 reminded me that I should really go back and finish a bunch of games, like Prey, for example, because it was a really weird game and they added more content for it, and I don't know, it's kind of got a cool aesthetic. I was hoping we would get another smaller Dishonored game announced, something about the size of Death of the Outsider.
Oh, for Dishonored?
Yeah,
I think that I don't know.
Like
probably...
I feel like Corvo and Emily their story is over.
Yeah,
but I also feel like kind of like the Billy Lurk thing, there's lots of other characters that are interesting to tell stories about in that setting.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of making that setting feel big.
Yeah. And there's like one entire country of the ones that we know of that we've not been to.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it, but it's up north somewhere. I think Metro Exodus looked amazing. It continues to look amazing.
Is it still a rail shooter?
I don't know. It looks more open, but you can't really tell from the trailer. It does not look like a corridor shooter the way that the original was.
I am the box art that I just Googled to is a railroad track covered in snow. So I'm concerned.
I mean, it is still Metro, so
yeah.
But yeah.
Metro was also the series that taught me that I needed to have some sort of joy in my post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because Metro doesn't. Metro is just misery. Like, misery on top of misery on top of misery.
And generations of misery.
Yeah. Sorry, give me my offbeat black humor post-apoc in the form of Fallout. Thank you very much. I need somebody to show an emotion other than soul-crushing misery.
See, Fallout is mostly too dark for my tastes. Although it's gotten less so more recently, but like Fallout 3 was not.
Fallout 3 was way happier than Metro, though.
Yeah, no, I tried playing Metro, and
Maybe I like bleak games.
Maybe you really like bleak games, because I thought I liked post-apoc, and that's why I got Metro, and no, too much.
I really like games with interesting world design, and that has like lots of weird things going on in it.
It's got weird things going on in it. I'll agree with that.
Like, I kind of want to read the novels that those games were based on, except for, I'd have to get a translation. So speaking of post-apoc with some joy in it, it looks like maybe the Division 2 is giving people something worth fighting for. There's like one of the sequences that I saw was like you're basically running missions for this like little colony that's got like kids and stuff locked behind walls, and they've been drawn on the walls, and you're actually like helping the people instead of feeling like you're I don't know, part of the problem.
I have a strong amount of judgment to reserve for this.
For which one?
Division 2.
Division 2, yeah.
I was checked out 30 seconds into that trailer.
I feel like there is a fundamental flaw in like telling a story where a crisis has happened and the correct solution is supposed to be shoot everyone around you. Like,
I feel like this goes back to the need to have some joy in the post-apoc.
Yeah.
I also this also created one of those gaffes in the form of a Polygon article interview where the Division 2 is like, oh no, we're definitely trying not to make a political statement with this game.
Failure.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's like, well, you're making one whether you want to or not. So
yes, so
maybe make the correct one.
Well, or maybe
think about the one you want to make. Yeah.
Think about the point you want to make, because you are not going to be able to not make a point with a game like this. Like, really, you're not going to be able to avoid, like, you always are going to have something come out in the stories you are telling. It's not possible to have apolitical storytelling. Like, a worldview is going to get in there somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that always frustrated me sometimes when I was working on things where it's like, no, there's no such thing as just telling a story. Like, a story is a reflection of a lot of things.
If the moral of your story is not like politically sensitive, then maybe you aren't like making some really sharp firebrandy statement, but your story has something that is being said in it. Especially a story in which you are like literally fighting against the government. I don't know. I'm probably not interested in Division 2. Division 1 was such an uncomfortable experience for me.
Well, it's particularly disappointing when so many other studios are explicitly making political points with their games and are not shy about it.
We want to spread the fuck Nazi message to as many platforms as we can.
Yes.
I'm pretty excited about that, by the way. Maybe I have mentioned this on the podcast a time or two, but I really want to play a game in the Wolfenstein, like a Wolfenstein game where I don't have to play BJ Blazkowicz.
Yeah, like I'm 100% on board with playing one of his twin daughters, and I'm still holding out hope that one day we will have a game set in the 90s where the Vorticons show up. Probably get immediately totally wrecked because they weren't expecting us to have this weirdo super tech. But I feel like something interesting could be done with that.
That would be the weirdest, like...
The deepest of cuts?
Yes, the weirdest, like, this next Wolfenstein has aliens.
Yeah.
What?
Like, what does Commander Keen look like in this
makes sense.
timeline? I kind of want to know.
Well, pushes up glasses. If you will recall, the only reasons the Vorticons attacked in the first place was because Mortimer McMire was controlling them to destroy the Earth and Commander Keen.
Right.
Right.
I dearly hope that that the end of this next Wolfenstein game, and I will be playing it just to see if it does, has a like weird buried Commander Keen reference.
I'll be very sad if it doesn't.
I'm going to be pretty excited about this. I still need to beat Wolfenstein 2. That game goes all over the place. I don't think it's necessarily good, but it's definitely trying to do something.
Yeah, I need to finish it as well. Like with mini games, I got to the point where lots and lots of side quests became available and fell into the side quest hole for a while.
Wait, side quests? I thought it was a linear shooter.
So
like the last one.
There comes a point when you can do missions to go like back to maps that you've explored via the story and hunt down a special like super officer.
Oh.
This is also how you acquire the other two gadgets that you don't, other than the one that you pick when you're given an opportunity to pick one.
Okay, so we're going to start talking about this. I didn't know you could get those other two, and my saved game is literally me staring at these three options and being like...
Yes, the one you pick is just the one that you get to have for free.
Okay.
The other two you will find on, while going through those maps, and you will ultimately have all three available to you.
I was like, how do I pick this? That was like a choice, an analysis paralysis that like killed the gameplay experience for me.
Yeah, because I grabbed the booster, the leg boost things, and the first mission that I went on with them, I found the constrictor vest as well. So I've got both of them at this point.
So is the constrictor vest the one that lets you hide underneath things?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the one that lets you be Fluke Man.
Didn't it release against like Stormblood or something like that?
Which
Wolfenstein 2.
I don't remember.
It released up against another game, and that's why I've installed it but not actually touched it. I do not remember what game it was, but
I don't think so. It released in October.
Oh shit! Yeah, Destiny.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was all about Destiny.
Sure, that makes sense.
Okay, I remember there like being another game, and I was like, crap, why didn't this come out a month earlier? I am super excited to be playing in weird alternate universe 80s Paris.
Yes. I still want a game to go to North Africa and see what's going on down there, because that sounds really interesting, and also I want to play Bombot.
Maybe? That's a thing that we'll get at some point?
I mean, if they keep
like
advancing the
his
timeline,
kids?
Eventually he'll be too old.
Well, like, we could play his kids.
Yeah.
Or they may factor into this story. I don't know. There's lots of places it could go. I don't think any of them so far have stayed in the one area they start in.
No.
So, I mean, just because they're talking about Paris doesn't mean they're actually going to stay there.
I mean, they went to the moon last time. Maybe they'll go to Mars this time.
Have they colonized Mars in this setting?
No, but Mars is where the Vorticons live.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of why I think the Vorticons should show up, is because we've seen that the Nazis have space travel, so it's entirely possible that they've already encountered each other.
This is all assuming that anyone is paying any attention to the fact that technically these are a shared universe, and it's not just me obsessing over these details.
Please, Machine Games, make Coder's dreams come true. I tell you the game that I want to just release already, that I saw yet again, and was the high point of yet another PC gaming show, Ooblets.
What is that one?
It's the weird marriage of Animal Crossing and Pokemon and Harvest Moon, where you grow little plant creatures that you then follow you around and battle with them, except for instead of actually fighting, they have epic dance-offs. It's amazing.
This sure is a Double Fine game.
I mean, if nothing else,
well, it didn't
really
start out as a Double Fine game, but like they're publishing it. It's like I've been following this game for a while,
I feel like there's a little bit of Viva Pinata in there too.
Probably. Yeah, and it's great. It's going to be amazing, and I'm so ready for it to release. And soon maybe. Like, I thought it looked pretty complete last year, but they've been chipping away at it all year. The PC gaming show is just an uneven mess. Like, it's getting better in production value.
Have a public indie gamer cannot put together a good show.
Well, and the problem is like it's just so uneven. Like,
who is it serving?
I don't know. People that apparently don't have access to Steam. Not that you can find a damn thing on Steam if you wanted to find anything. And I have no idea what's going on with Devolver. Well, I mean, I understand what's going on with Devolver. Like, it's basically a late night Adult Swim show. It reminds me a lot of Tim and Eric awesome show.
I know a lot of people who really love this. The people who I see who are most excited about Devolver show, though, are also people who are like in the games journalism industry or what's left of it. People who have covered so many of these shows that they are sick and tired of all of the tropes and are just looking to see them get all skewered. So this feels like it speaks to a very niche audience. But that niche audience is also the ones who are reviewing the show. So,
At least it was short this year. Like, it was shorter than last year's, at least.
Seems very much like it's playing to the refs in this case.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 looks amazing.
Yeah, it actually looks like Beyond Good and Evil now, rather than just a random game that they stuck the title on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I have no idea what's going on, but it looks amazing. It's a great engine.
I actually haven't seen this. Does it have Jaden Page in it?
Yes.
Yes. Nintendo really wants us to know more information about Super Smash Brothers.
Well,
Nintendo also wants you to know that you can buy Hollow Knight right now.
did you also know... I guess this is more of a generic thing, but did you also know that you could play Fortnite basically on anything?
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments of the show is Todd Howard 100% deadpan, like lampshading the Skyrim on everything.
What's even better about
the best
that
part about that is that you can actually play Skyrim on the Alexa.
Yeah, like the fact that it's real. Like, you could actually play Skyrim on Alexa. Sort of.
Why? Who knows?
It was funny.
They will go a long way for a joke.
I would absolutely play Skyrim on my refrigerator. Not that I have a refrigerator that you can play anything on, but that's a whole other story. I mean, the Skyrim Switch port is really good. Like, it is shockingly good. And you can run around as Link. This whole, like, games that are actually streaming games thing is interesting. Like, that's how PSO was going to work on the Switch. That's how Fortnite is working on the Switch.
I didn't realize how they got Fortnite to work.
Yeah, it's the whole, like, streaming the game. So you're basically, like, just a remote client. There was another game that's coming out, too, that they were going to do the same thing with, and I forget which one.
Dragon Quest X works that way.
Yeah. I mean, after all of my shenanigans with Parsec, I feel like that's a completely doable thing if you have enough bandwidth. The big if is if you have enough bandwidth. I think Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee look cool. I'm kind of concerned that they may be gender locked.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah, that seems...
I realize they keep showing one with one and one with the other, but that's highly unlikely.
Okay. Because I mean, Eevee is the better option, just saying. Like, I caught shit. True. I caught shit on Twitter for this, but, like, no, Eevee is absolutely the better choice.
One, I agree with you usually. I don't think I agree with you in this if we're in the Pokemon Yellow situation and your starter can't evolve.
I mean, both of them can evolve. They have lots of evolution options.
Pokemon Yellow specifically prohibited your starting Pikachu, the one that follows you around all the time, from evolving.
And
it sounds like they're going to do the same here.
Yeah.
Would like Eevees evolve? I have a hard time imagining that they have not figured out how to do a model.
It's not a figure out model thing. It's a choice for that game specifically.
Yeah, this is the mascot character, and he's going to stay this mascot character.
Why would you want a non-evolvable Eevee?
Same reason you'd want a non-evolvable Pikachu.
No. Non-evolvable Pikachu is actually decent.
Not really.
It'll carry you a lot further than a non-evolvable Eevee. I can tell you.
I mean,
tell you what.
One assumes that in this situation, they would give that Eevee some special abilities, like that it can have. The way that Pokemon Yellow Pikachu, like, did not have the same skills at the same levels as Red and Blue Pikachu did.
Some people who look into this sort of thing too much did go over the stats tree and they showed for the starter Pikachu, and it is way better than it should be.
I mean, my assumption is that they would, in that case, just give Eevee some really good stuff, so that not evolved, it's still like useful.
They gave it a unique Z move in Sun and Moon, which is stupidly good.
Yeah, they give it like Hyper Beam or something.
I think it learns that already.
Maybe it does.
Another game I'm super looking forward to is Cyberpunk 2077.
Waiting to see on that one. I haven't been the biggest fan of CD Projekt Red stuff.
Yeah.
But
Really want it to be good because I like the game that it's based on and the whole, setting.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But trailer did look really cool.
I feel like they nailed the setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you want a cyberpunk game that doesn't have magic all in, then here you go.
That said, I think I'd rather have that as a Shadowrun game. Really want someone to do a new Shadowrun game that's not just a shooter.
Have you played Shadowrun Hong Kong yet?
Yeah, I've played the Harebrained Schemes games, but I want a game that's not like top down type. And the only other one of those that's out there is just it was like a Xbox 360 title that was mostly just a shooter.
Mm-hmm. Resulted in some pretty good action figures being made, though.
Yeah, they were great. They were the best action figures we'll probably ever get.
Speaking of action figures, I want Starlink so bad.
Everyone's reaction. I don't need any more toys. Oh my god, is that Fox?
I mean, I already was kind of into it, and then they announced Fox, and I was like, well, damn it.
All right, I haven't heard about this one. What's Starlink?
It is Ubisoft. Is it Ubisoft, right?
I don't know.
Yes.
It's Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft doing a like No Man's Sky kind of looking game, but with like actual obvious story. And one of the core functions of it is you've got this starship that you can fly around and customize all the bits on. And there's like a physical toys that you can get that have different parts that let you have different stuff on your ship. And it's also on Switch. And the Switch version lets you play as Fox McCloud.
The bundle on other platforms comes with like some sort of general base ship, and the bundle on the Switch is an R-Wing.
Yeah, you just get an R-Wing. And so, yes.
Yeah, that seems pretty sweet.
Like, I don't care. I don't really care if it's good. I don't care if it makes sense. I just want to fly around an R-Wing again. In
what looks to be a really cool open world type setting.
Yeah.
So have they announced if there is going to be a single player mode in Smash akin to the absolutely insane one that came with, I think it was Brawl?
I have no idea. They
haven't said anything about it.
Subspace Emissary was a lot of fun. It was totally nuts, but it was fun.
It's a little weird to have Sonic saves everybody else as a plot point.
I still wish they had something from Metroid Prime 4.
You and me both.
I mean, because, I know it was a huge deal for everyone who's played Smash and loves Smash, but, I've never played a Smash game, really. So
yeah,
I
one of my
mostly
coworkers
checked out.
was really excited, holy crap, this person's in it. Holy crap, this one's in it. It's like, everyone's in it. Absolutely everyone.
Except Waluigi.
Except for Waluigi.
Except for the Waluigi, yeah.
Well, Waluigi's never been in one, has he?
Not as playable.
Shh.
As soon as they introduced the Assist Trophies, Waluigi was in the Assist Trophy.
But I've never really played Smash, so, half an hour of here's who else is in Smash was, not a lot of interest to me.
Also, how about that Sony show? That was a weird show.
What else was in that? I'm trying to remember everything that was in that show. I remember being
there were basically 4 titles other than the FedEx Simulator, which wasn't counted in the 4 titles. And by FedEx Simulator, I'm talking about Death Stranding? Is that the name of the thing?
Norman Reedus and the Bottled Fetus?
It's a game about boxes.
This is what happens
Carries
when
the
you.
boxes. The boxes sometimes follow you around like children. It's boxes.
This is what happens when you remove Hideo Kojima's editor.
Seriously.
Hideo
And the thing
Kojima
is,
needs
like,
an editor.
I've seen 3 years worth of trailers for this game, and I still have no clue what's going on
It's by design.
at all.
Clearly, that's because you don't get it.
I don't think anybody does.
I know some people who are insanely excited about it just because it's Kojima, and I so hope that it's whatever they're looking for.
I wonder how Exhale feels about it.
I have not asked him. I should.
I mean, like, he is probably the biggest Kojima fanboy that I know personally.
Yeah.
Or at least fanboy enough to do cosplay at conventions.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, the Sony show, we got to see more of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, I mean, like, everything they
Kingdom
showed
Hearts
was super good. Like, I was interested in all the titles they showed.
The Spider-Man game looked really awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's basically, I guess, a Sinister Six plotline. I mean, just based on who was being broken out.
Yeah.
Freaking like, it's amazing to me how Spider-Man games look super good more and more frequently.
I
Like, I
remember
don't
the
even-
one on the PlayStation 2 was amazing for the time.
I mean, yeah, I'm not even like a big Spider-Man fan, but some of the games have been really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I loved about Infamous was it feels like I'm playing Spider-Man, but it doesn't have to be Spider-Man.
Speaking of Sucker Punch games, I am really digging their samurai game. I forget the name of it. Ghosts of Tsushima?
Oh, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, it's the not Infamous game from Sucker Punch.
Yeah, like, wait a sec, what?
Yeah.
I'm...
You missed an
Did you
announcement.
somehow missed it?
Well, I didn't watch the Sony thing, so I missed it.
They announced it last year.
Yeah,
They showed more
but
this year.
Did they? I
they
must have-
showed a lot more.
haven't been paying much attention.
Yeah,
It
this
looked
is
really cool.
yeah, this is the one they introduced with like Greg from accounting playing an ancient Japanese flute.
Like, it was a weird show. like the fact that they had a 20-minute intermission in the show while they had the audience switch venues, and they ended up going to like a commentator section where it was folks from Sony pretending to be like someone covering the show. It was kind of meta.
This looks really cool. Is there like gameplay, or is this just a trailer? Is it just a trailer?
It's just a trailer. Yeah, it was
Towards the end, there's a fight that looks like it might actually be gameplay. It's got kind of a Bushido blade feel to it.
I'm into this.
I mean, I feel like I'm more into this than I am into Ninja Souls, which is I don't remember the name of Sekiro, or basically the From Software Samurai Souls game.
I was like, do you mean Neo 2? Do you mean
No.
another thing? Do you mean
From-
Code Vein.
From
No,
Software,
we mean the not Tenchu game.
right? Yeah, From Software is basically doing Ninja Souls.
I'm intrigued.
I mean, I
From
really like...
Software made Tenchu before they made Dark Souls.
They're returning to their
That was a
roots. I'm into
long
it.
time ago.
I'm super
was.
into it. I liked Tenchu a lot. I liked Neo. It was great.
I mean, the reason why I'm putting it more in the Dark Souls camp is that you're like an undead samurai type character with like a trick arm that evolves apparently as you go through the game.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Okay, I'm less interested than I was a moment ago.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels like it's much like Bloodborne was still a Dark Souls game. It seems like it's a Dark Souls game. That said, Bloodborne did a lot of interesting things that Dark Souls didn't. So Ninja Souls could probably do a bunch of interesting things that, Dark Souls didn't as well.
The new Last of Us looks incredible. Although the first Last of Us was a heavy game.
It was a heavy game. I still need to play the DLC for the first Last of Us.
It's really good.
I hear it's very good, and I think it's also going to be pretty relevant to this one, from what I understand.
It seems that way.
It seems
Yeah,
like...
I mean, considering this one is entirely centered around Ellie.
So I know we've talked about this a bit. It seems like the new trend is every DLC matters for sequels.
You
So
know,
not-
I'm Actually, I'm on board with this. I feel like we went through a lot of stuff where, especially in these like story heavy games, the DLC was like these ephemeral, not meaningful feeling side things that were just an excuse for you to get back into the game mechanics, which is fine. But like I'm thinking of games that had like hollow missions. Do some more sneaky missions in VR.
Mass Effect 1's DLC.
Yeah.
Well, and it used to even be worse when a lot of times the DLCs would be developed by a second studio that was largely disavowed by the main game come sequel time.
Yeah. And I know I know it's weird for stuff like Dishonored is the first one I've seen that's like really goes hard on that. But Dishonored 2 is so much richer for having played the Dishonored 1 DLC. And the Dishonored 1 DLC answers a bunch of questions that the original Dishonored didn't. But it didn't need to be a full game. And I feel like that's
I talked about this a little bit last week, is for me, playing the games in order, or at least having played the other games, the DLCs, elevate the Dishonored story arc from being a really good game to being like epic storytelling on the level of like Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Like it's a totally different experience. Like, because everything got laid out there, they knew where they were going with this story when Dishonored came out.
Yeah, because like Dishonored,
just straight up.
Yeah, Dishonored 1, it's like, okay. Or at the very least, when they started working on the DLC, they knew what Dishonored 2 was going to do. And it's super cool seeing, like, okay, Dishonored 1, you resolve all the stuff, and it leaves the kind of open question, like, what was going on with this other character? Like, what is that person's deal? Because they were, a problem, but then you beat them. And then you play, like, the DLC is like, you play as that character, figure out what their deal is. And there's this whole other thing that's going on that's just it's not part of the main, it's not even relevant to the Dishonored 1 storyline, but it's super relevant to other stuff that's going on. And it helps make the game world feel bigger. But I like DLC to not feel throwaway.
Yeah, and I think I stopped really playing DLC because it did always feel throwaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very interested in DLC that adds meaningfully to the story, like expansions used to back in the 90s, early 2000s.
I think my only real disappointment with E3 this year is like everything was a sequel. Other than like the announcement of Starfield, it didn't seem like there were really that many new IPs.
I don't know. Starfield, Starlink. I feel like there were a couple more. Which one?
Anthem.
Yeah. But we also had another Battlefield, another Tomb Raider, another Gears of War game, another Halo announced.
Another Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. I mean, it was very much a year of the sequel we knew we were probably going to get, announcing.
Yeah.
I'm curious about Halo Infinite, because like just the fact that they're calling it Halo Infinite makes me wonder if they're about to do a Halo Destiny, because they specifically said this is not a main series Halo game in one of the discussions post-show. And I think they intended Guardians to be like that, but never really gained that kind of traction.
Guardians was fairly clearly positioned as like Halo 5.
Right.
Just they didn't call it that.
Right.
But it directly follows on from the story in Halo 4.
Well, and it was very much a Halo game. It was like, it was not a here's an open world Halo game. And that's kind of what it seems like this might be. I am at least surface level interested, but my core problem with Halo will always be my core problem with Halo. The fact that they give you really interested weapons and then never have any ammo for it, so you have to toss that weapon aside and use something you picked up off the ground. I was kind of excited to see a new Dying Light game, though. Did any of you play Dying Light?
No.
It is a really interesting zombie game.
I was
Because
gonna
there's some
say
weird stuff going on in it. And like, you're basically a runner, and there's crazy parkour elements as you try and move throughout the city without like getting in amongst the zombies. And there's like some interesting dynamics between like these rival groups that are fighting for control of resources, and there's a lot more going on in that game than just go kill some zombies. And this one seems to be taking up where the last one left off. And one of the things that didn't really play out in the first one was, or at least, I mean, there were permanent choices. So, you know, if you decided to help out this person, they would remember that. Or if you decided to go against a person, they would remember that too. And this time around, apparently, like, there's world-changing things. Like, so if you help the wrong faction, like, your city may not be as peaceful as it could possibly be, but it would cut off access to, like, certain types of resources. It definitely looked interesting.
I did pick up Kingdom Hearts 2. Or Kingdom Hearts Ultimate Complete. Since they've finally announced that game's going to be out.
But that one was pushed back, wasn't it? Because wasn't it originally supposed to be a 2018 release?
Yeah, but nobody believed that.
Yeah, no one believed it.
No, yeah, it's Nomura.
Has anyone played the original Kingdom Hearts in a while?
I started a new game of it not
Define
too
in a
long
while.
ago. Within the past year.
I would just say that game has some awkward feeling combat.
The first one? Yeah, it kind of does.
A little bit.
I watched part of Spiral's playthrough of it, if that counts. She like played through all the Kingdom Hearts games back to back for a while.
Yeah, I want to play these games. They seem up my alley.
They're a lot of fun.
And now I have the ability to play all of them in order so I can understand the story, I'm told.
You're not going to understand the story.
Okay,
Don't even try.
So that's
You're not
the
going
problem.
to understand the story.
Like, I don't necessarily want to play the games. I just want to understand what's going on. And I don't
Sorry,
think that's
too bad.
I don't think that's something I could ever do. Like,
No. Like, the Kingdom Hearts 1 story is reasonably followable. It's not that much worse than your typical Final Fantasy story. But then you start getting into the sequels. And don't try. Just, play the first one, enjoy it, and understand that, and play the second one, and don't worry too much about how exactly everything connects and why things are happening.
Well, so Ashkar was telling me that the copy I got has all of the games that I would have to play in between so I would understand what's going on in 2.
Well, it doesn't always have... It has most of the games, and for the game that you shouldn't play because nobody should play... Yeah. There's... For the games that you shouldn't play because nobody should play them, it has the cutscenes that are necessary. But, I mean, feel free to try, and I wish you luck. But,
people are like deeply emotionally connected to that game series.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that it's Disney, and a lot of people are deeply and emotionally connected to Disney characters, so...
Yes. Like me.
I keep hoping that sooner or later they'll go to Duckburg.
I'm going to use when somebody shows up with a lightsaber.
I mean, I'm expecting Star Wars to show up in Kingdom Hearts 3.
So, the Duck family makes very little sense to me. Is Daffy at all related to Donald?
No,
Daffy's a Warner Brothers character.
Yeah, Daffy's a Warner Brothers character. But
right.
Scrooge McDuck is related to Donald.
Scrooge is Donald's uncle, yes.
But Donald is part of your party. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be really weird if you went to Duckburg, wouldn't it?
Not really.
Like, is there another Donald, a different Donald Duck?
No, I wouldn't think so. Duckburg is just, that's where, Scrooge and where, like Grandma Duck and her farm are, and Gyro and all of them.
What town was Darkwing set in?
St. Canard.
Yeah, that's just ready.
Look, I knew someone in this channel would be able to answer that question. I just didn't know who.
Yes, and then Tailspin is set in Cape Suzette. And I would be 100% on board with them, like, introducing all three into Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I'm really sold on...
I mean, I feel like you also have to bring Rescue Rangers in.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not really seeing a downside there.
I'm super sold on reviving all of those early 90s properties.
Maybe not all of them, but a decent number of them.
But yeah, there are some that shouldn't be.
Okay, so the Kingdom Hearts all-in-one package. It says pre-order. Do you get the games ahead of time?
Yeah, you get everything except for 3.
You get everything except for 3. So I started playing through Kingdom Hearts 1 for like the first time ever. Or the second time ever. It's interesting.
I'm still really excited about Rage. I'm kind of bummed that it's a 2019 title. I think I represent like the very slim margin of people that loved the original game.
It sounds like it's an exclusive club.
Yeah, I don't feel like I played the original.
It was so good, but it was so short. It was one of those things where like I thought the game was about to do a second world on me, for lack of a better term, but then it just kind of abruptly ended. And I kept thinking that there would be follow-on DLC that would pick it up and keep going, but no, that's not a thing. I think largely because it did not sell well. It had a lot of technical problems at release. Square Enix conference, for me, the biggest thing was the Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy XIV crossovers.
Behemoth is coming to Monster Hunter. Rathalos is coming to FF14. Behemoth looks super much like it's on the skeleton for Zinogre, a monster already in Monster Hunter, but not in Monster Hunter World.
I think Dragon Quest XI looks cool.
That was a weird thing for me to see at E3, since it has a release date and has been talked about and is out in Japan.
Well, I mean, everything other than the Monster Hunter thing at the Square Enix conference was stuff that we'd already heard about. So it was kind of, I don't know, a lackluster conference.
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of weird seeing a game at E3 that's been out for almost a year.
Yeah, because they technically had a Stormblood trailer, didn't they?
It's for the most recent patch, but yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite indie-ish game that I saw was Tunic, aka Fox Zelda.
Still waiting for a release date on that one. Been on my Steam wish list for quite some time.
Battletoads is something.
Because I feel like did like a live blog of that show, and their response to that one was, "I didn't ask for this."
Nobody asked for this.
I mean, it's just as legitimate of a game announcement as the Metroid Prime 4 one was.
Yeah.
So
Now if someone calls GameStops and asks if they have Battletoads, they can say yes.
Didn't Battletoads get released as part of like that Rare bundle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with other actually good games.
I mean, I liked Battletoads at the time it came out. I thought it was interesting and innovative, but it's not something that I carry around a cross for.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Shonen Jump beat 'em up. Anime Smash Brothers.
That one was so weird, like...
Oh, Jump Force?
Yeah, Jump Force.
The weirdest part about that is that it got announced at the Microsoft conference.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that just cracks me up about that is it's got Light Yagami in it, and all he has to do is just write their name and match over? How's that going to work?
Yeah.
You have to interrupt him from writing? Like, the entire epic thing is to try and make him lose his concentration?
Oh yeah, I forgot that EA announced Jedi Fallen Order, which...
Yeah. Which they made up on the spot as they were talking to that guy.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it.
I feel like it has just as much chance of getting released as Star Wars 1313 did.
Oh.
Aww.
Oh yeah, Ubisoft doing Skull and Bones, and I guess if anybody was going to do a pirate, like a big multiplayer pirate game, like Ubisoft is pretty well positioned to do it because they're pretty good at this whole ships thing, but I'm also not sure I'm really into pirates.
I feel like it looks way more interesting than the Microsoft pirate game.
Sea of Thieves?
Yeah, Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I guess that's true. Or yeah, Satisfactory.
Ubisoft gave away For Honor during the show.
Oh, yeah.
I actually downloaded that thing. It's an interesting game, but I don't think for me. Technically, it's still free through June 18th, I think. They somehow managed to make combat feel tedious.
Oh, that's not a good place to be.
And there's like a whole rock, paper, scissors blocking mechanic. I think the new Tomb Raider looks pretty cool. I still haven't played through the previous sequel to the new Tomb Raider franchise.
And they're pretty good.
Like the first one was great.
Yeah, the first one was very good. I didn't play the second one either, but...
I think the problem was it started off as a Microsoft exclusive, and then by the time it released on other things, the hype had died down, and I just never got around to playing it.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen with this one too, because it'll be another timed exclusive. Microsoft was very carefully worded on their statement of 18 titles with exclusivity. I never quite figured out exactly which 18 they were referring to, but...
Oh, Remedy is making a new game. There's a bunch of these that I missed.
Which one is the Remedy game?
Control?
Yeah. That one looks really interesting. Like, you're shooting people with a Rubik's Cube.
Alright. Somebody announced Hitman 2, which I'm pretty sure already existed, but here we are.
Numbers don't matter.
So I'm pretty sure there have been more than one previous Hitman game, but whatever.
I'm pretty sure there's been more than one previous Hitman 2 game. But here we are.
Numbers are hard.
I mean, I like that series. Like, that series is fun, but...
I mean, I'm fully expecting that the next Xbox console is going to be called the Xbox 2.
I give up.
They can't call it 2. Except their justification for 360 was they couldn't call it the Xbox 2 because that would sound worse than PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
But then they let them call the next one the Xbox One.
Right.
One is the best if you want to be number one.
Like, Microsoft doesn't know how to number things. This has been a chronic problem throughout
this is
all
worse
their
than
products.
the Capcom school of sequel numbering.
I don't know.
I don't know.
just came
Capcom's
out.
pretty bad at it too.
An update just came out for my Windows 9, so...
There is no Windows 9.
Okay, and I went and checked because I did wonder if there was in fact a Hitman 2 or if they just did subtitles for all of them, because all the other ones are just Hitman something.
No, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin.
The second one was in fact Hitman 2, so they were just doing it again.
That was the first one I played.
I've never played a Hitman game.
You should probably skip them. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that one out
Yeah.
there.
They don't seem like me games.
No. They're puzzle.
My friend
They're puzzle
loves
games.
them.
They are what they are puzzle games, and they're puzzles with multiple solutions. And your method of interacting with the puzzle is a third-person shooter.
Yeah, I've got a friend that really loved Hitman series and really loved Splinter Cell, and neither one of those seemed like my kind of game.
Yeah, they're in the stealth game category.
I will never get a clean hands playthrough of Dishonored, ever, and probably never a Ghost playthrough. We Happy Few has gotten weirder looking and more interesting looking as
That's
it gets
definitely a
close to
weird game.
release.
Yes, that's definitely a weird game. I don't know if I'm into it, but we'll see.
It feels very BioShock to me.
Yeah, it does kind of have that art style and like thing going on, minus like powers.
Yeah. Probably the most interesting thing from the Microsoft conference, though, was like all the studio purchases. Because maybe they're realizing at this point that like Sony's buying of studios was not a bad idea.
I think the biggest surprise to me was ESO has 11 million players.
Yes.
And that's because of the definition. That's by definition 11 million paying players, which
Is it?
you have to buy the box to play ESO.
Oh, okay.
You can't just play it. And so like almost certainly not 11. I mean, the economics of that are complicated, but what that means is that ESO might be the biggest MMO out there right now. Just real quietly. Like
It's been doing shockingly well. Like it's continued to sell expansions and things like that, and
yeah. And like it could very reasonably be pushing twice the size of WoW right now. And it's a news story that no one is talking about. But like WoW sure doesn't have 11 million players right now. If they did, they'd be crowing about it. And even in the Bethesda,
specifically, like Blizzard has stopped reporting how many people are playing WoW.
Yeah, well, I mean, the last time they reported, they dipped down to 6 million, and that wasn't a good time. But yeah, I found that really fascinating. That it's like I understand why it was a throwaway comment in the Bethesda show, but also that's not insignificant. And I'm surprised that various MMO news sites didn't pick that one up. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised, but I find it interesting.
Yeah, so at the end of Warlords of Draenor, they were at 5.6 million subs, and that's the last number that they released.
Yeah,
for World of Warcraft. But the thing is like it's interesting. Like everything I had heard from the folks playing ESO is that, the subscriber numbers are seemingly good because the world is extremely populated. And every time I've dipped my toes back into it, it's just been people all over the place.
Yeah, there's people everywhere.
It doesn't matter.
We don't have separate servers.
Well, it doesn't even matter what level of content I'm doing. Like, every single zone is populated. Like, I can go to any city, and there's a ton of people just standing around.
Yeah, I mean, the whole mega server thing definitely helps that, but a lot of other games have some facsimile of that tech now too, but they don't feel as busy.
Well, like, okay, World of Warcraft is blending together basically all of the role-playing servers. And there are tons of places I can go in the world where there's absolutely no one. I've been leveling through Stranglethorn Vale on my Void Elf Hunter, and there's nobody. Like, not even in Booty Bay. I don't run into a single other human being. And it's never been like that when I'm over in ESO. I will say, like, there's been several games that the E3 has made me want to go back and play some of, and ESO is one of them. Shockingly, another one is Division, and I guess the thing too is, like, everything I've heard about the expansions in ESO is they're really good. Like, they add a ton of new story, they add interesting new areas, and really, I guess that started with Orsinium. That was the first big one.
Orsinium was big.
Morrowind was the first really big one.
Yeah, Morrowind was the really big drop.
Well, and this latest one I've heard is pretty big too.
Somerset?
Yeah.
That Somerset spoiled my guess for Test 6. I was convinced that Elder Scrolls 6 was going to be Somerset.
I kind of feel like Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a return to Daggerfall.
Certainly looking that way.
Or they could just screw with all of us and literally release all of Tamriel in a single game.
That seems unlikely. I mean, maybe.
That would be massive, but yeah.
Oh, can you imagine trying to fill that much content?
And I feel like they can at least lean heavily on the content design from ESO, because at least that's fleshed out corners of the world.
Oh no, I'm just thinking about
just like quests and NPCs and
making that
interactions
not just a giant empty expanse.
Because that's the thing with like a Bethesda game. Like, I've been playing some Fallout 4, and there's stuff that I've stumbled onto that I never saw in any of my other playthroughs. And it's like every time I go into one of those games, there's moments like that where, like, I've never seen this before. I must have gone near here, but never to exactly the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it next week, but I've been playing Skyrim VR, and it's a very different experience than what I'm used to.
Yeah. Well, at this point, I think we've gone over significantly from our normal time boxing. Anyone have any additional thoughts that they want to add to the whole E3 concept?
By Hollow Knight.
It's a really good game.
Yeah, Hollow Knight is really good. Now that it's on Switch, I've been playing it, and it's really good.
It's a very good game.
Also, I totally see just playing Rage, and it's like $3 nowadays. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.